Okay, in today's video, we are going to talk about why ServiceTitan and Housecall Pro suck for advertising profits. These are both softwares to manage jobs and serve as like a de facto CRM system for the home services space. If you're a home service company considering one of these softwares, you should seriously reconsider, at least before making the jump, to go ahead with it, because obviously once you start using it, you may be optimistic about it now. You get into it and you find out this is wrong and this could be better. You're already knee deep into it. It's not so easy to get out, obviously, at that point in time, because you invested all of this time to figure out exactly how to use the software, train your staff on it, integrate certain things with it, and now it's going to be a big major pain in the ass to back out. So, and then with that, the number one thing that basically the hardest thing to do in the home services space. Yes, for hiring people, I get it, it's hard, but ultimately, if you could find an unlimited jobs, you could charge enough to find the right guys and just poach them away from the competitors. So there's no harder thing than it is to find jobs at a good rate where you could charge a decent enough rate per job and get good margins from them. And so with that being the case, you need to seriously first consider, when switching over to one of these platforms, is it going to serve my needs and get what I want done, which first and foremost, which is get the type of jobs that I want. And I'm not going to have to sacrifice any on that particular avenue of my business to use these softwares, despite how the marketing material can make it look so great. So with that said, I'll go through what are the drawbacks, what are the hits you're going to take with your marketing and advertising just using these softwares in general versus other ways that you can do things. So with that said, the tenets of maximizing profits from online advertising campaigns on Google, on Bing, if you want to add Facebook in there as well, the big three, for a local home services business, include three things that you need to do if you're going to really cash out with it and beat your competitors. Because ultimately, what you're up against when you run these Google ads, if you're wondering, there's 100 people that can do what you do in your little local niche area that you cover, your service area. Who gets the Google ad customers is going to be the person who does the advertising better than anybody else and has the right mindset going into it, because there's only so many customers to get. Only so many people are going to be able to afford to be there. There's a lot of people that will try. Most people in your space will try. Most will fail because they can't compete. And it's not just about money. It's about how good your ad is, how good your landing page is, how good your systems are set up to refine your ads as well. And so with that said, if you want to be the 2% of the companies in your space that can afford to be at the top of Google, permanently cemented there, and make $5 million more in revenue a year because you are cemented there, because you can afford to be there, because the way that you're advertising beats the other people that are there now, and will continue to beat and outcompete anybody else that tries to nip at your heels, you need to do your advertising a certain way. That is, these are three things that are very, very important. Not to say it's the most important, but they're all key things that you're going to take a hit on if you use either one of these softwares, practically speaking. So one of which is local numbers. Okay, guess what? There's three things that the user always wants to know before they go ahead and decide that they are going to do business with somebody after they click on an ad. And before they even click on an ad on Google search, they're asking themselves, do you do what they came to Google for? Do you cover their area? Can they trust you? Okay, same thing is users ask themselves the same thing when they reach your landing page or your website. If you're just sending them to your homepage, God help you if you're still doing that. And so with that, one of the ways that you right away convey that you cover their area, which is one of the bigger factors of the three, okay, is you use a local phone number on your website. Think about it from your perspective. If you're going to hire somebody to go clean your house, are you going to go to a website that has 1-800 at the top right of your website? Hell no. Or if it's an area code that you notice that's way the hell on the other side of town, are you going to be likely to call, or at least as likely to call? Probably not, right? So why are you doing this on your own website? You probably don't, but if you do, why do you do that? And if you use one of these softwares and try to use the call tracking features as a part of the software that's built within it, you can't use local numbers anymore. So right there, then and there, you have a drawback in using these softwares, whereas you want to use a local number, but you also still want to do call tracking so that you can, over time, collect data about what keywords are drawing in the jobs, what ads are drawing in the jobs, so you can refine your ads. You need both. You need local numbers and you need call tracking. So naturally, with ServiceTitan has dynamic number swapping so that you can do call tracking on your web page, but you can't use local numbers with it. Okay, so when somebody calls, the job shows up right in your ServiceTitan platform, which sounds great on the surface until you, but what they don't tell you and what you don't know as an advertiser is you're going to lose 15% of your jobs by not having a local number show up for everybody. So if you cover more than one area code, you're not going to have a local number showing every time because you can only have one area code. And that's it, just one. So maybe you service one area code, but if you don't, just know you're taking a 15% haircut on your jobs because you can't show a local number to every person. Every single campaign I set up, I'm going to set up different tracking numbers pools for every area code. But I don't use ServiceTitan, I use CallRail, and I don't have to worry about that. I use CallRail, but Corey, don't you still have to use a CRM system? Yes, I do. I use Salesforce or Zoho. I don't use ServiceTitan, so I don't have that restriction, because that's the main problem with these do-it-all platforms. They do it all, but certain aspects of the software, because they can't focus on everything because it would be too expensive for their company to do that, you have these weaknesses in all these areas. Whereas if you just use individual softwares that were the best at what they did and then you linked them together, you'd end up with no drawbacks anywhere. Yet the drawback there technically is that the linkages can break and you got to have somebody that manages it. But there's no drawback in using software then, because you're using a really good software that was made to be the best at this one thing, and it just does that one thing great, and you don't have to use that software to do something else totally unrelated that it does terribly. So there's that right off the bat. Okay, so the other thing you got to do with local service campaigns is set up sales/opportunity tracking. Okay, so because when a call comes in, you got to be able to say, hey, that's a good call. That's a bad call. If you expect to do really well with your online ads, okay, so that you can the system that Google has can get you more of the customers you want, less of the customers you don't want, or should I say the leads that you want, the leads that you don't want get weeded out. The tire kickers, the people that are mistakenly calling the competitors, whatever. And so with that said, if you're talking about Housecall Pro, doesn't have dynamic swapping, so you can't even do call tracking that ties in with the software. So part of the benefit of using a CRM system is you can link it with Google Ads. And then when you have a job close or it's a lead is marked qualified, you can pass that information back into Google Ads as soon as you mark it qualified. Which if you had Zoho or a Salesforce or a mainstream CRM system, you could do that. With Housecall Pro, you can't do it. And so you have to do the same thing manually, where you would either have to have a separate CRM system that you update your jobs and then that sends information to Google Ads for you, so you can have optimization long-term for the jobs that you want, which most people obviously ain't going to manage two systems. So you have to, then at that point, if you want to get the major results, you have to have a separate, you have to manually submit the leads that turn into that you are marking as good quality leads and jobs, leads that turn into jobs through a spreadsheet and then passing that back into Google Ads. Whereas if you just used a Salesforce or a Zoho, as soon as you mark that job closed, bang, it's automatically Google knows about it and it knows about it in real time. Whereas if you do the manual upload, you probably can only afford to do that like every month. or whatnot, and then the data, you have a delay in the data, and so there's a bit of a drawback there. But the main thing is you have to do, part of the reason why you even use a CRM is so you can link the systems together so that one talks to the other to drive your ads. One tracks it whether a job happens. When it happens, it tells the ads that a job happened so it can get more of it. Then it brings in new leads. Your system over here, the CRM system that you're using, tracks whether those new leads turn into a job. If so, the ones that do, tells Google about those jobs. And then it's a self-perpetuating feedback loop that gets you better and better results over time. You will get at least 3 times more profit out of Google Ads if you're doing things on that level versus just trying to optimize for a call. And 70% of people don't even optimize for a call, by the way. So you'll be able to beat most people in most markets with nothing but call tracking, nothing but form tracking to optimize for forms or phone calls. But if you do the job level tracking, you'll beat everybody in your market most times. So, and then with that said, okay, the other thing you always got to do to have local service campaign success at a high level is ad/keyword level call tracking. So if you just set up a call tracking number on your website, okay, to track how many calls you're getting, that's what we call like a dumb version of it, if you will, because you can track, yes, somebody called or not, but you can't track what keyword they typed in before they called. You need something called dynamic call tracking to do that, which is done through adding a piece of JavaScript code to your website so that when the user visits your website, a number dynamically pops up on the user's screen so it can actually tell, it can actually do what you want to do, which is to find out which keyword they typed in, so that information in Google Ads, you see not that you just got a call overall, but here's the exact keyword they typed in, here's the exact ad they clicked on, and so on and so forth. Age, gender, part of the city that they're in, and so on and so forth. So, whereas ServiceTitan has a dynamic call tracking feature, as I mentioned before, so you can actually still track how many calls came in by keyword and stuff in Google Ads. You can't do it while still also having the local numbers. And Housecall Pro doesn't even have dynamic number swapping, so you can't even do keyword level tracking if you're going to use Housecall Pro. Okay? So, whereas ServiceTitan does a little bit better job in helping you get the advertising results you want with and also using it, Housecall Pro does a terrible job in comparison. So if you had to pick one, ServiceTitan would be the one. But what I'm telling you is, it's not worth it at the end of the day. Deal with the CRM system that can link directly with it, or at the very least, go with ServiceTitan and manually track your conversions separately, and then pass that information back to Google Ads. But because, like I said before, you can't use local numbers if you serve more than one area code, you can't have local numbers show up for the user. Then with that, then basically you're losing 15% of your leads in any area where the user doesn't see a local area code. And so therefore, for that reason alone, if you think, is ServiceTitan going to give you a 15% increase in efficiency in your business at least? If not, well, then you're not saving any money because you're going to lose 15% of your leads, given most local service companies, local home service companies get most of their leads from Google. You've defeated the whole purpose of using this software, saving time and money and administrating and keeping track of jobs and so forth. Whereas there's other softwares that doesn't have any of these drawbacks that you could use that's almost as good. Yes, they're not quite set up for the service directly, but that's how they get you. There's so many things in the software business marketing world where they say, we're a software just for the suicide cleanup market. And people think, ooh, wow, it's just for my industry. It's got to be the best. When really, they don't have much resources to throw at that software because they're only serving a tiny market. And so the software just sucks. Yes, it's a nice idea if you're totally clueless about how the economics of running software companies work. But the reality is the software company that has the most revenue can build in the most robust features into their software, make the software more importantly also, which is another factor I didn't even mention here yet, the reliability of the software is as good as possible because things can break really easily. And if it breaks, you won't, a lot of times won't know it breaks for a few weeks or months, and you've lost all this revenue because now this data's disappeared or whatnot. That for all those reasons, you're better off with the Salesforce, even though it's not dedicated for home services, because you know it's not going to break. You know you can customize it exactly how you want. All of these other considerations, in terms of making sure that your advertising campaigns won't be affected through using their CRM system, they've worked out all those bugs. The smaller service that's supposed to be dedicated for the home services category haven't worked out all those considerations. They just pull the wool over your eyes and hope you sign up for the software and don't figure it out until you're already balls deep in using it already. Okay? So for all those reasons, that's why you should seriously second guess using these softwares in exchange of a Salesforce and just using that, even though it's not dedicated for the home service industry and it may not have quite the configurability as per what you think, when really it can. Salesforce, if you pay a Salesforce developer, they can literally customize it basically almost any way that you want. Yes, it's not going to come out of the box as tailored for the home services category as one of these other softwares are, Housecall Pro, ServiceTitan, but when you do have it finally configured, you have none of these other drawbacks, and it's going to be super reliable because Salesforce has been around for decades. And they've had hundreds of millions of dollars in development put into their platform to make it rock solid in terms of reliability, and you're not going to have an issue with it once it's going, so to say. And then furthermore, the integrations that it has with Google itself or with another ad platform, by the way, it's also very reliable because they have money to maintain those connections, whereas connections with, Google on these other couple softwares, ServiceTitan, Housecall Pro, it may stay updated for what integrations what integrations they do provide with outside software companies, with outside advertising platforms. But what happens is the APIs often change. And then so what will happen is the API will change. They're not going to give notice to Housecall Pro 2 weeks in advance. Hey, we're changing the API in 2 weeks. No, they change it. Their staff has to scramble to make sure the connection stays updated. And there could be a week or 2 weeks before the connection actually works properly again. And you've lost 1 or 2 weeks worth of data. Whereas at Salesforce, the Google Ads integration, they're going to have that puppy fixed in hours in terms of the updates. Not to mention, Google and Salesforce has a direct integration with one another. So the typical API connection, you don't even have to worry about it breaking. So there isn't any of that consideration. But even if there were, they would have enough dedicated staff on hand to fix it right away. So anyway, I think I kind of said what I needed to say about all this. These software companies, they may certainly be able to do certain things well. The point of this video is to say, is it worth it for the drawbacks that I'm going to have with my advertising campaigns, given the most important thing in our company is to get lots of jobs with the right job, get the right margins with those jobs, that is the right customers. And the only way you get right customers coming in over time is if you constantly self-improve your advertising, so that the good customers you have, you tell the advertising platforms you're getting those, and the advertising platforms can see the traits that they have, how old they are, where they're from, their hobbies, their interests, their traits, what sites they visited in the past. That's the only way you get it really drilled in for that. And you can't necessarily do it out of the box with these softwares. So with that said, I'll wrap everything up with that. Hopefully this video made sense. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment or a question on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. If you have any advertising related question, you can ask me. I'll try to use my 15 years of experience to answer that question, just as a thank you for watching the channel and helping the channel grow. If you are going to subscribe to any information online about how to make millions of dollars running ads for your business, this is the channel you want to subscribe to. as it's coming straight from the source from somebody who does ad strategy for dozens of different ad counts on an ongoing basis. The other information you find, people selling courses or whatnot, they're not actually running ads and doing this specific strategy development for those ads on an ongoing basis. They pretend like they do. I'm telling you that they don't. Or they run an advertising agency. They don't actually go hands-on with anything. Or they run a couple campaigns, which isn't really going to tell you what works on a broad scale basis. And so with all of that said, if you want information straight to the source here, you basically have to get it from somebody who's just doing hands-on strategy, and that's the 40-hour-a-week job, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. So if you're going to pay attention to anybody, you want to subscribe to this channel because I'm giving you information straight from the source. So you should subscribe, and you should subscribe right now. With that said, beyond that, okay, I also have a blog. If you visit my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog, you can find other information, my writing on, and I have specific strategies that you can follow there on my blog with step-by-step instructions, screenshots, everything you need to use where you can follow certain strategies that are proven to work to get results on your campaigns. If you like the channel already, you're going to love my blog even more because it's even more valuable in terms of the information and what I put together over there. As a side to that, I run an advertising agency, as I just mentioned. The name of it's Guaranteed PPC. We do not charge our clients fees until we can get them a certain minimum amount of sales lift on their campaigns up front on the same ad spend as they had before. With that said, we don't take on just any client. We got to know we can get great results on their stuff before we take a client on. But if you want to see if we can work together, where we can do all these different techniques for you, hands off, where we're just doing all the work for you and then taking a fee for doing it, that's what we do, and you should reach out to me and I'll give you some estimates on how much results we can get for you if there's results there to get. Just have to reach out to me on my site at Guaranteed PPC and I'd be happy to give you a free assessment like that. As a side, what we also have is, if you're not looking to work with an ad agency but you want to shortcut your way to success, you should also consider buying our ad templates. If we've worked in your niche market before, and we've worked in over 100 different niche markets, you can use everything we've developed for your market to get results in your market, ads, landing pages, all of it, campaigns, all of it, and literally copy and paste all the results we're getting into your own account to get the same results with none of the work, time and money that we spent to get it. And we would be able to obviously tell you what results you could get with it up front. With us working and been doing this for 10 years now and having worked in hundreds of different niche markets, the chances are fairly high we've already done a little hard work for you. If you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me as well at guaranteedppc.com. We've got people that use these templates to start all their whole other side businesses. If they were, doing local home services and they wanted to get into e-commerce, they started, the easiest way to do that is to start with a template to sell an item that you can easily get from China that works already in country A and you're in country B. And it's all fair game because your guys aren't going to compete with each other. Or if you wanted to just get into selling leads, you get our templates and you sell leads to people. And because our templates work so well to generate leads at such a low cost, you can easily get into a business like that. So if you're interested in any of those opportunities, you can also reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. But I'll wrap everything up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and hope to see you on the next video where we have another great strategy for you then. See you later.